Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. So, guys, I hope you can see me. So let's get this. Let's get you guys in there. Can you hear me? Waiting for you guys to come in. Waiting for you guys to come in. So chat. Close. What's good, peeps? What's good? What's good? Sorry about the. I'm pretty sure you can see me here. Come on, Imran, bruv. Facebook user. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. My internet's down, so I'm having to use the phone. Can you guys see me? Holy Imran, hey, welcome back. What happened? Your Wi-Fi has problems. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sometimes it happens with my laptop. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know why it's like that. Yeah, we can see you. All right, okay, that's great. It's Ray. Yeah, I can see you. What's going on, Ray? Yeah, so hey Imran, what's going on, Curtis? I hope you're good. I hope you're good. So yeah, let me see if I can get some of you in the. Let's see, I'm gonna post the link in the chat. So yeah, I've posted that link. I think it's gone to you. If you guys want to come on, you can come on. I posted, drop the link in the restream. Yeah, I have. I've dropped the restream. I've dropped the link in the restream. So if you guys want to jump on, if any of you want to jump on, jump on. I've dropped the link in the restream. So if you want to jump on, jump on. I think it's gone to YouTube as well. Ahmed's in the house. Ahmed, what's going on, brother?
I'm all right, Imran. How are you?
All good, man. All good. It's good having you. I've been having issues with my laptop, man. My issues with my Wi-Fi on my laptop, so I've had to come on my phone. So can you see me, Ahmed?
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah, I just logged into my YouTube now and I seen
Yeah,
your
yeah,
30, 40. I seen a little bit of clips of your 30, 40 minute one before. Seen
yes.
good little topic.
Yeah, we had issues, man. We had issues with the Wi-Fi, man. Otherwise, we had a great discussion going on. Guys, if anyone else wants to come on, join the restream. Adam's in the house. Adam's in the house. Adam, what's going on? Sorry about that, man. Adam, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can, man. Sorry about that, man. Sorry
No
about
worries, man.
you were on the screen before, man, and it
Yeah.
collapsed. I don't know what happened. But yeah, Ahmed, I want to come to you first, yeah.
Yep.
Caleb Plant preparing with Canelo Alvarez. How do you think that's going to help him for this fight?
I think psychologically it will be good for him, and obviously you'll always learn of Andre Ward, and psychologically I think it's good. I think I don't know if he's going to get to Canelo mind games and stuff like that. I don't think so, but it's a great asset to have working with you, with what he's accomplished and how good he was.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from. Rare Breed, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys?
All good, man. All good. Rare Breed, it's great having you in, man. Great having you in. Andre Ward is working with Caleb Plant. How much do you think that's going to be beneficial to Caleb Plant in order to defeat someone like Canelo Alvarez?
I mean, it can't hurt. I mean, high
Yeah.
IQ. You know, when you listen to Andre Ward's commentary, you can see how smart he is. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have
Yeah.
a guy like that in your corner. So, I mean, he can't fight for Caleb, so I don't see how it helps in that department, but it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt having someone of that kind of stature in your corner. I don't know
hmm
whether Caleb. I don't know if any of you know that. I don't know whether Andre Ward was just there helping him, giving him a bit of advice, or he's actually in camp with him. Is that been confirmed? I've been looking for all over the internet, but there's nothing confirmed. I don't know whether he just went over to the gym. He knows Caleb. I don't know. What do you guys have any information on that?
No.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
What I do know is Andre
Yeah,
Ward has been like mentoring guys like Shakur Stevenson. So I think
yeah.
eventually Andre Ward's gonna venture over into like coaching or being like a trainer.
Hmm.
I do see that.
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. In terms of this Canelo fight with Caleb Plant, do you give Caleb Plant any chance?
Yeah, but one of the things I did notice about Caleb Plant watching some of his other fights, if you watch that fight against, it's hard to say his last name, but Ustaki.
Sakatsi, yeah, when he won the
Yeah, that
title.
yeah. He looked really good like the first half of the fight, but you saw him like start to tire towards the late rounds, and he was getting caught inside by him. If Canelo will definitely take advantage of that if that happens.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. He doesn't look he doesn't look like he looks like a fighter that fades, right? Like a
Yeah,
typical fighter with that kind of style has, where fast hands, he moves around, but he kind of
yeah,
fades towards later on. And I agree with you, Rare Breed, that you can't afford to do that against Canelo, can you?
yeah. Now, one thing about Caleb Plant I do like is he's serious about his craft.
Mm-hmm.
We could tell he's definitely like he's all the way in. I don't think some of Canelo's last couple opponents were really believe that they could win. Especially
Mm-hmm.
Billy Joe looked like he just wanted a paycheck. He didn't really look like he
Mm-hmm.
wanted. Yildirim was not. That's not competition. And Callum Smith,
No.
Caleb has the tools to beat Canelo, like
Mm-hmm.
athletic wise, but can he do it? That's another story. And I know he can't knock out Canelo, so he's gonna have to outbox him. So even if he does
Mm-hmm.
outbox Canelo, I don't even see him getting decisions. So he has a tall task. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there that it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for
Imran,
him to. You're gone.
yeah, Imran, I was watching your video prior to this, and you said
Mm,
prime for prime. You edged Canelo to over Andre Ward. Is that the
yeah.
case?
Slightly. I would favor him slightly, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
Slightly.
disagree with that.
the Super Six Andre Ward was very tough to win it to be.
Yeah, it was, but you know what? The competition wasn't anything near Canelo's level, man. So it's hard. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I know what you guys are saying that Andre Ward was special, but he was a special fighter. But I don't know. I think Andre Ward nullified opponents. But the thing is, he did it in a way where he used to grab hold. He used to do a lot of things to nullify guys. I just don't know whether it would work against Canelo. Canelo on
You,
the inside, he's very
yeah,
dangerous. He hits you very hard to the body.
I
Could he
agree.
outbox
But
Canelo from range? Could he out
yes,
possibly, but I
Imran,
don't know. I don't think it would have been easy.
It
Canelo.
wouldn't have
What's the
been
one thing?
easy. It
Yeah,
wouldn't have been easy, but I think Andre would have found a way because he's so clever, his IQ and everything, and he knows what his assets over his opponents, and he knows how to neutralize somebody. Like he knows he's got reach and height over and size over Canelo, so he'd fight that type of fight to frustrate
yeah.
Canelo in a 12 rounder. Because to be
Mm.
let's be real. I mean, Canelo had a very close fight with Golovkin, and I think Andre Ward would have schooled Golovkin, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that style,
That's
Andre Ward's style is tailor made for a guy like Triple G. He would outbox him easily, in my opinion.
At the same
mm,
time,
That's
look,
why.
Kovalev gave a lot of trouble to Andrew Ward, so it's hard to
Yeah, well,
say.
no, Kovalev is a
Yeah,
different beast because in his prime, Kovalev had that jab with the length, and not to mention he's bigger than Andre Ward. He wouldn't have that issue
Definitely.
with Triple G.
But at the same time, you're discrediting Golovkin. Golovkin was an animal, man. I
He
reckon he
is,
still
but
is.
the problem with Triple
no,
G is
no, 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 no,
he's
no,
too small.
no, no. Golovkin's an animal, but there's levels in it. Andre Ward's are the highest level in it, and
He is
obviously he
definitely. But
knows.
don't you think Canelo is?
No, Canelo's there as well, but I just think Andre Ward would have beat Golovkin convincingly. Not the way Canelo.
Yeah,
Canelo,
because of
life and
style,
death.
I reckon you got a point
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Sometimes you we've seen inferior fighters beat other fighters based on just style alone. I'm not saying Andre Ward's
Yeah.
an inferior fighter to Triple G, but like you said,
Mm,
styles make fight. That's
true.
why
That's true.
Pacquiao, even though he's better all time than Marquez, that guy gave him trouble for whatever reason.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Canelo would definitely have to hurt Andre Ward to have any success in that fight.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's interesting.
What's going on,
So
Christian?
What's going on?
All good, man. All good. Sorry about cutting you off, Reb Reed. And Jimmy's in the house as well. What do you make of it, Christian? I haven't got your thoughts about Canelo's bringing in Andre Ward to help him prepare for Canelo. What do you think that benefits him?
Of course it does. I mean, I think,
Mm.
and I'm just speculating,
Mm.
that Ward is giving him some pointers on how to fight on the inside in the pocket responsibly. And that's what I think he's probably, because Caleb's already got the skill set to fight from a distance. He's got the range, he's got the footwork, he's got the hand speed, and he's got the jab. The issue is going to be, because sometimes I've noticed in some of his fights towards the second half of the fight, he tends to, when he slows down, he's a little bit irresponsible defensively in the He's irresponsible defensively in the pocket. And I think, and Ward was always very good in the pocket defensively. So I think that might be something that he's working with Caleb on.
Yep.
Good point. Canelo, I need to ask you, because I know you're probably going to disagree with me. Canelo v. Andre Ward, Christian, who wins?
Andre Ward.
You don't think Canelo would have beaten Andre Ward?
The difference between Andre Ward, Andre Ward is a type of boxer, a fighter, that he has multiple ways of winning rounds. He's got multiple ways of beating you. Canelo does not. Canelo is straightforward, pressure, counterfighting in the pocket. That's it.
Just this game.
When do you think, like Andre Ward was on the inside, he was really good, right?
Yes,
Canelo on the inside Canelo also on the inside loves that type of fight. If they both were fighting on the inside, who do you think would have the better of it? Or do you think Canelo could slow Andre Ward down? Or could Andre Ward use those, holding tactics that he used to do to nullify a lot of opponents? Could he do that to Canelo?
Ward would definitely do that to frustrate Canelo. He'll tie up his arms, but he won't fight in the pocket constantly. He'll be in and out, because Ward knows he has the range. He knows how to use the range when it's to his advantage, and he knows how to use distance behind the jab when he has that advantage. So I would see Ward fighting him not only from a distance, but he would also go in the pocket on occasion. He'll pick and choose. But he's not going to be predictable, because I saw a recent breakdown of Billy Joe Saunders against Canelo on Divine Sense Boxing on YouTube. Great breakdown. It was over the weekend. And one of the mistakes that Billy Joe made is that his movement became predictable. He kept moving back, and then when he got pressured, he tried to move towards his right. Canelo eventually stopped him by putting his lead foot outside Billy Joe's lead foot, so he couldn't wheel around that way. So he was stuck. He only had two choices. Either he stands his ground, backs up, or he wheels to his left, which is into Canelo's power hand. And, when his movement got predictable, Canelo was able to get to him. That's, eventually. But with Ward's anything but predictable. He's not going to fall into the same pattern where Canelo can figure him out.
But it would. Do you think a lot of people? Do you think that would have been a tough fight for Ward though? Do you think Ward fought anybody on Canelo's level throughout his career?
I think no, and I'll tell you why. But because the thing is, Canelo's never fought someone as short and as small as Canelo.
Ward hasn't fought.
Ward, yes. But Ward fought Kovalev when the guy was at his peak, and he was a bigger man, and Ward managed to beat him. I think Wood will have no problems with Canelo because of the size difference. Because he'll know how to use his size against Canelo.
Christian, I want to ask you. I personally had Kovalev winning that first fight. How did you see that first fight?
It was a toss-up.
Yeah,
to me, I mean, that could have been a draw. It could have gone either way.
Yeah. I get.
It was
where
really
you're
hard
coming
for me. It was really hard for me to call that fight. I really couldn't tell who won.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's kind of one of them ones. It's not a robbery, but I think the fair result probably could have been a draw. Really.
Yeah, I think it should have been a draw. To be honest with you, that's what it should have been called a draw.
Yeah. I'd have to agree. I'd have to agree with you. Adam, what do you make of Canelo and Andre Ward? Who do you think fight if they were
I
to
reckon
fight?
Canelo, but it's a hard fight. I reckon Ward would be schooling him really, but it takes one punch to change the fight. I reckon in the later rounds, Canelo would hit him to the body or even to the head. I reckon Canelo would get him. Just like the Kovalev fight. I know it's not the same Kovalev, don't get me wrong, but Kovalev was schooling Canelo, but it took that one punch, it changed the fight. And I reckon that could be the case in that fight, but it's a hard one because Ward is much more clever and stuff, so much better boxer, but I don't know. He just finds a way. He keeps grafting, and he don't. One thing about Canelo is even in the late rounds, he maintains his power a bit. So hard to say.
Yes, it could have been a great fight. I would have loved to see that. The problem is Christian, rare breed. I'd love to know your opinion. That Canelo doesn't really have in the 168 division. He doesn't really have an Andre Ward, and you could say Andre Ward didn't really have at 168 a Canelo. There's a lot. These guys are great fighters, but unfortunately, they're not really got the competition. I know, Christian, you seem to think Caleb Plant could beat Canelo. But if Canelo does beat Caleb Plant, it's going to be kind of like, well, the competition at 168. Because you say all the time, the reason why Canelo's fighting at 168 is because there's not great competition there, right? You say it all the time.
It's a weak division. It is a weak division.
That's why he moved up.
Yeah. Do you think at the competition at 160 with Charlo and Andrade is tougher?
Of course. I mean, he ducked. Listen, I mean, I've said this before. He ducked undisputed with Demetrius Andrade for the obvious reason that styles make fights. And Andrade is a more difficult fight for Canelo than Plant is.
Think about it. His reasoning for saying he doesn't want to fight Andre is because he's a terrible fighter. What does that mean? Yildirim some great fighter, or even Callum Smith? No offense to Cal Smith, I know he's a fellow Brit, but he's not some world beater either. So I don't see why.
Nah, I don't agree with that at all. Who has Andrade for?
Okay, let's not talk about resume, folks. I mean, let's not talk about resume.
No, but you're not saying that Canelo ain't fought no one. Who has Andrade for? Canelo's for Billy Joe. Billy Joe with school Andrade, I reckon. Easy.
Who said Canelo hasn't fought?
You guys, because you're saying that Canelo ducked Andrade. Well, Andrade's been ducking everyone else in because he ain't fought no one.
He literally said, I'm not going to fight you because you're a terrible fighter.
And he's telling the truth because look at the competition Canelo's for. He's gone up for Kovalev. Yeah, one fighter, you're saying Yildirim, Billy Joe. Billy Joe's been unbeaten before that. And I'm sure Billy Joe's meant to fight Andrade. And that would have been a really close fight.
Or any of those guys going to the Hall of Fame?
Probably not, but who has Andrade fought that goes into the Hall of Fame? Does forget anything else? Does Andrade go into the Hall of Fame?
Listen, let me ask you this then. If Andre's such a terrible fighter, why didn't he fight it for undisputed when he had one belt left to go? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, but even that, you're saying that.
I want an answer.
One minute, he might beat Caleb Plant.
I just want a simple answer.
Because he did it. He actually didn't need to. Because if you look at it, he beat Billy Joe just now. Who has Andrade even fought? And another thing is, he might beat Caleb Plant and then fight Andrade anyway. So
let's go back down memory lane.
Go on.
Yeah.
Did you notice
when
Andrade hasn't fought Golovkin, by the way? Yeah.
Guys, let Christian finish his point.
Yeah.
When Canelo fought Jacobs and won in the post-press conference, and you can pull it up on YouTube, he said in Spanish, "Yo quiero los cuatro títulos." Translation: I want all the belts at 160. I want to be undisputed. And then he changed course. And who had the last bell? Andrade.
Yep.
That's my
Facts.
case.
So you're saying, so 1 minute. So in them terms, you're saying that Canelo's scared of Andrade. Come on,
I
you're having
didn't
a
say
laugh.
that.
Because you're saying he's ducking him, so he's obviously scared of losing against him.
No. This is what I'm saying. Boxers are not scared of other boxers. Every guy who steps in the ring, they're not afraid. What Canelo is afraid of is losing, because he doesn't want to lose the perception that he is this pound for pound king, that he is the best fighter in the world. He doesn't want to lose that perception. That is what he's afraid of.
I don't think Canelo thinks he'll lose against Andrade. I think Canelo thinks he'll knock Andrade out, personally. Even if you look at the
Then why won't he fight him?
Because you don't need to. Andrade is chatting a lot as well, really. Because he has okay. Let's listen to that. How come Andrade ain't for Golovkin? Because we all know Golovkin ain't scared of fighting no one. So
wait a minute. Andrade wants to fight with Golovkin. It's Golovkin who's ducking him for a unification.
You're looking at the media says I don't believe that.
Have you read the reports over the past couple of months? Dazin's been trying to push Golovkin to fight Andrade for unification. Golovkin says no.
I don't believe that at all. Personally, I don't.
Okay, well, hey, you go look it up.
Because Golovkin's got nowhere to go, kid. Why would they take the Andrade fight?
You know, Golovkin right now, he's at the end of his career. What he's doing is Golovkin's looking for a Canelo payday, or he's looking for a big fight. Andrade's not really a name, unfortunately, and the fight's not financially probably not as appealing to him as he's probably looking for. I personally think Golovkin right now. I'm not saying in his prime, Golovkin fights anybody, and he would have fought Andrade in a heartbeat.
I'm talking about before.
But right now, I kind of agree with Christian in the sense that I'm not sure Golovkin really wants that fight, to be honest. I think he's looking for a Canelo payday.
Sorry to cut you off. Another thing is that everyone's saying Golovkin's finished. I know he's old, don't get me wrong, but nothing's shown us that he's actually finished, apart from him not taking a big fight, really. Because I reckon, even right now, if he fought Andrade, I would reckon that'd be a close fight. I reckon to give Andrade a trouble.
I've said. I know Christian won't agree with this, and probably Rare Breed won't agree with this. That I actually think Golovkin beats those guys. But again, we need to. But the thing is, I also agree with Christian. I think Golovkin right now is avoiding Andrade. Probably looks at him as a risk. And he also. Do you
think Canelo's avoiding Andrade, Imran?
Do I think Canelo's avoiding Andrade? No, I don't think. I think he'll fight Andrade. I think eventually that fight will happen. I think they're trying to build that up into some kind of super fight. I think eventually you will get that fight. It's too. I think Andrade has put himself in a great position that he's marketed himself. That I think there's a lot of people calling for that fight. So I think eventually, I think Canelo will. Here's the thing. For me, Beterbiev is a dangerous fight for Canelo. Bivol, after he beats Plant, who's he going to fight? Benavidez is another guy that they think that could beat Canelo. Andrade is another guy that people want to see because of his style. And Charlo, really. I think these are the three guys. If Canelo goes and fights Beterbiev, then I haven't got a problem with that. But I think if Canelo's going to stay at 168, then I think Andrade, Charlo, and Benavidez are the fights that we want to see, right?
Yeah, definitely. One more thing, don't you think Billy Joe's any good? Like Billy Joe's quality, man. He's unbeaten all that time.
I like Billy Joe. He's a good fighter, but I think Andrade would have beaten Billy Joe. I think he's taller. I think he's bigger. I think he throws more combinations. I think he would have outpointed Billy Joe. Billy Joe's more of a single. He throws more single shots. Andrade throws fast combinations. He's a bit more spiteful as well. I don't think Andrade would have stopped Billy Joe because Billy Joe showed against Canelo he's got a good chin. But I think stylistically, when you make styles make fights, Andrade's taller, he's longer, he's got the longer reach, he throws faster combinations. I think he would have outpointed Billy Joe, and Billy Joe doesn't really have any power. You see, the thing is with a Golovkin fight, Golovkin has a lot of power, and Golovkin might be able to hurt Andrade. Do you know what I mean? So that's a dangerous fight because of that. What do you guys think? Christian Rare Breed, what are your thoughts about Billy Joe and Andrade?
I mean, Andrade beats Billy Joe. It's not even close. Billy Joe, as you said, like Caleb Plant described him as an ABC 1-2-3 fighter, which is an acronym for saying all he does is throw a simple jab, an occasional cross left, and he uses his movement not to counter or to box, but more to escape. And that even showed up against Canelo. He didn't establish his jab. He didn't establish any combinations off his movement. It's very basic.
Yeah.
Makai, how are you? Makai? Rare Breed, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, and guys, and let's be real. Did you notice that Canelo, when he moved up to 168, all of a sudden wanted to all the belts after Benavidez lost his belt for what was it?
Good point.
Cocaine.
Good point.
Yep.
Good
He
point.
wasn't looking to. Yeah.
So you think Benavidez is a threat to Canelo? Then that means you think Benavidez has a good chance of beating him.
Absolutely. Benavidez is a dog. But
What about
I
his
agree.
defense? He got a very poor defense. Christian, you pointed that out as well. Benavidez has got a really terrible defense.
He does, but he's got a chin, and he's willing to go in there to take a shot in order to give a shot.
But has he got the power though? Has he got the power?
I think he does.
Yes.
I think he does.
He looks like a 175 pounder, or doesn't he? He doesn't look like a 168.
No. He's really I think he's really a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
a big kid. He's got fast hands.
Yeah.
But he's flat-footed, Christian. He's flat-footed. Like, let's be honest, he's very flat-footed fighter.
But that's true. But like I said, if you're gonna go toe-to-toe with Canelo, you need power and you need a chin. He has both.
Yep.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Canelo's chin as well. Canelo's got a solid chin, I reckon. He took good
he
punches
does
from Golovkin.
Oh yeah, he does too. But
And he's got much better head
you need a
movement.
chin. That's true. That's an advantage that he'll have against Benavidez. Is his upper torso movement in the pocket.
Yeah. I reckon Benavidez's chances are early, I reckon, because as the fight gets longer, Canelo will start hurting the body. Benavidez is open, he'll get hurt. Definitely, I reckon.
You know, it's interesting you brought up. It's interesting you brought up the body punching. You know, I'm surprised that no one yet has really tried to test Canelo to the body, and I suspect that might be one of Caleb Plant's plans is to go to the body, because no one's attacked Canelo to the body. Give him a piece of his own medicine, and I think Andre Ward would do that, and I think Andre Ward would definitely go to Canelo's body if they were to fight.
Yeah, Andre Ward definitely, because he's got the power and the cleverness, the slickness to fight in the pocket as well, like in close up. But I don't think Caleb Plant's got the power to do that. He's gonna get hurt. I think even what everyone's saying that Andre Ward's gonna help Caleb Plant a lot, I don't reckon, because if he tells him, I think Caleb Plant shouldn't fight in the pocket at all, and he's gonna get hurt to the body. And even when Canelo's uppercuts are a bit underrated, I don't reckon he should fight in the pocket. To be honest, you gotta keep Canelo at range. Personally, I think that's my opinion.
Ray, what's going on?
How we doing? How we doing, gentlemen?
All good,
hey,
man.
Ray.
All good.
Are you alright?
What's you've been hearing the conversation. You've been in the side. I know you've been listening to what we've been saying. What do you make of firstly Andre Ward coming in to help Caleb Plant prepare for the Canelo fight? You've been hearing what we've been saying, everything. What do you make of it, everything being said?
Yeah, well, I've not got too long tonight, gents, because I've got work tomorrow. But break down what I've seen. So Andre Ward going and helping Caleb Plant, I think that's a great idea. He needs all the help he can get. Andre Ward is, a future Hall of Famer, terrific fighter. He's a great pundit as well. He knows boxing inside out. I mean, we can all sit here and talk about how the guy's not been beat since he was just before a teenager, but he knows boxing. So any advice he can give Caleb Plant, who's a skilled boxer, but any additional soft intelligence he can give Caleb Plant is going to be really useful for him to take into the ring. I suppose there's one thing listening to it, it's whether you can put it into practice. You can lead that horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Hopefully Caleb Plant takes it on board and give Canelo a good fight. Obviously, regarding the comments that you've made, I agree in a way that in order to beat, so I don't agree with what you were saying, Imran, that you need to be either a Mayweather or a Golovkin to beat Canelo. I think it's a bit too simplistic than that, because I was pointing out Kovalev was having success against Golovkin. I think people keep forgetting that.
Canelo, you mean Canelo?
Yeah, sorry, against Canelo. I think people keep forgetting that. I think you need to have a solid jab. Earlier on, I heard somebody say that Benavidez would be give Canelo a good fight and possibly beat Canelo. I don't think David Benavidez would beat Canelo. I think him and even Zurdo Ramirez will be there for the taking because they're defensively wide open. They'll come forward, they'll throw shots, throw a lot of heavy shots, but they are very, very slow. And it's a bit strange how certain people can say that Beterbiev is too slow for Canelo, but all of a sudden Benavidez isn't. And Beterbiev hits harder than Benavidez ever would, to tell you quite frank. Obviously, with Christian coming on, the Andre discussion was going to be in there. He would give Canelo a fight. There's no doubt about that because of his skill, because of his movement. But I can't see him winning that fight. I still can't see how he beats Golovkin.
Yeah, I can't either, Ray.
No, and I know Christian did say in the past he goes up to light heavy and he does a job on Beterbiev. He might do a job on some of the poorer light heavyweights, but not Beterbiev. There's something about Beterbiev. He's not active enough, but believe you me, when he cuts that ring down and he catches you, you're not getting up. I don't know anyone who's going to evade Beterbiev for 12 rounds.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Before Christian, I'll give you a chance to respond. I want to ask Ray a question. Ray, I made a video yesterday and I got criticized in the sense that I called Andre Ward an all-time great. Now, I actually look back and actually think Andre Ward is a Hall of Fame fighter, no doubt about it. But is he an all-time great? I don't know. What do you think, Ray?
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Would you put him in the same league as Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, and those guys?
The obvious thing's going to be, well, he I heard you say he didn't have the competition, but
no, yeah,
he beat it was the fashion everybody in.
Yes, I agree.
It's the same with Joe Calzaghe. It's the same with Joe Calzaghe. People say that Joe Calzaghe never really had the competition, but he emphatically dominated everybody that he was in with. It was only in the last 2 fights of his career when he was very much past his best, he started to struggle, and he still came out with a victor. Ward arguably lost his first fight against Kovalev.
Yeah.
But he sure put it right in the second fight. For me, that's a sign of greatness. There are going to be some fighters where you can't always have that debate about their resume, where you can't always say, look, he didn't fight certain fighters, but then there's those guys that just don't have those dance partners, and just because they don't have the dance partners, it's unfair to say you can't be an all-time great.
I agree.
So some people are there because they've had the dance partners, but I think it's harsh to not call Andre Ward, who's shown everything but the skill set. He's shown character. He's shown actually he's come back from an arguable loss. And he won the second fight emphatically, hands down. It's unfair to have a go at him and say he didn't have the dance partners. That's not his fault.
True. Yeah, good points, Ray. Good points. Yeah, I think Andre Ward was a great fighter. Great fighter. Just like I said, I think in that 168-pound division, the way he beat everybody was great. And if he had more elite fighters, or if I don't think there was, I think you can make a case there probably wasn't any elite fighters in that 168 division. If there was more, I think you probably would have seen a more greater Andre Ward. If I'm honest.
Yeah, he struck me as the fighter that the better the opponent, the better he was. All this talk about him. I remember Kessler when he beat Kessler. Kessler came out and did the interview in the Super 6 and said, "Oh, he was a dirty fighter. He was a horrible."
Yeah.
What he was doing there, Kessler, was a backhanded compliment to say everything I did, he just nullified. That again's a sign of a great fighter.
Froch did that as well. Froch said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Those guys just weren't good enough, Ray. They weren't in his class. Do you know what I mean?
Andre Wood took away your strengths, and that's what I like about him. whatever it was, whether it was a jab, whether it was a left hook, whether it was the right hand, whether it was the ability to move across the ring, Andre Ward always found a way, and he made adjustments in fights. So if you talk about that, when we looked at Jamal Charlo and Castaño, and Jamal Charlo, and we brought that one down, we all said that Jamal Charlo didn't make adjustments. If that was Andre Ward wouldn't have had that problem. Andre Ward always made adjustments. He was what I call a cerebral boxer. He was a thinker in there. He was very difficult to pin and put under pressure. Because he was always two or three steps ahead of his opponent.
Yeah,
you look back at his fights, he was never more than 2 rounds down consecutively. Some fighters they lose like 3-4 rounds in a row. No, not with Andre Ward, because he's figured you out. He's figured out what you're doing. He's figured out your patterns, your rhythms, your timing. He was class.
Raymond, mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, fire away.
Okay. If Canelo beats Caleb Plant, do you think Ward will come out of retirement to fight Canelo?
That's a good question. I think because
what are your thoughts?
Sorry.
What are your thoughts on that? I kind of think that might be that might be in the works.
You see, Andre Ward's a man of God, isn't he? And he's a man of his word, and he said that he won't come out. So I don't think he's cut the same cloth as, say, Floyd Mayweather and other boxers. I kind of think he genuinely means he won't come out of retirement. Personally, would I want to see him come out because he was so good? Yeah. I think, you retired young, you could still cut it, but
he'll get beat, Ray. He'll get beat, Ray, against Canelo right now. There's no way I can see him beating Canelo. Too strong for him right now.
I mean, he's what now? It depends.
37, I think. Was he 36, 37?
36, 37. Yeah, I mean, yeah, potentially, because Canelo's be the busier fighter, fresher fighter. But I don't think he'll come back out. I think he's a man of his word. He's a man of God. I think he's made his decision, and he'll stick to it.
Yeah, I don't think he should, because here's the thing. I think if he does come out of retirement, Christian, he will get beat right now. I wouldn't pick him to beat Canelo. Like, even in his prime, so to speak, that would have been a tough fight for him. Wouldn't have been easy, But now you can't fight Canelo not when you're not at your best. You've been inactive. You ain't fought for 4 years.
But the thing is, Imran, if you to go back hypothetically and say if Andre Ward was still fighting at his prime, I mean, if he fought Canelo at light heavyweight, it would have been a completely different fight, as opposed to if he fought him. This is what I'm saying to you earlier about fighting Canelo at super middleweight and then fighting him at light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Take away a lot of Canelo's advantages if you had the extra 7 pounds.
Yeah, because he's a naturally bigger man, isn't he, Ward?
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't. This is what I'm saying, Ray. Even in their primes, if you put Andre Ward at 168, just say that fight happens at 168, right? Andre, that would have been a tough fight for Ward, because, like I said, Ward never fought anybody at 168 at that kind of level, at the level that Canelo's at right now. And as good as Canelo, I think you'd agree with that he never really fought anybody as good as Canelo Alvarez at 168, and that would have been a tough fight for Andre Ward in his prime. So now you take a guy that hasn't fought for 4 years competitively, and you put him in with Canelo, who's an absolute monster right now, in the peak of his powers. You can't really, that would probably be one of the greatest wins ever, like one of the greatest comebacks ever, if he was to pull that off.
Probably, it probably would be. But then again, don't forget, you tell me who Canelo's fought that's been on the same level as Andre Ward.
Yeah. I'd agree. Only Mayweather, really, and he got beat in that fight, didn't he?
Yeah. And I think if he was to fight Andre Ward would be looking to adopt a similar approach to that fight as what Mayweather adopted. It would be pretty much single shots, hit, move, tuck up, hold them when you can, move again. Always keep Canelo moving. That's what you'd be looking. So Canelo's always having to reset that's what he'd be looking to do, Andre Ward. And Andre Ward, to be fair, he can follow a game plan as good as everybody I've ever seen in a boxing ring.
Mm-hmm. But I think Canelo's boxing IQ. I think Canelo's very underappreciated, Ray. His boxing IQ, his defense. Like Canelo's got all of that as well, and he's got more. He's got like now Canelo right now. We're not looking at the same guy that Mayweather beat. It's a completely different Canelo Alvarez.
He's improved. I agree, he's improved. But what I would just say there is Andre Ward was already started at an A, and he just keep getting better and better and better and better. Canelo didn't start that way at all. He had to really work to get to where he was. But Andre Ward started like that. So if anything, you see Canelo, I know some people underrate Canelo. Some people don't like him. But Andre Ward, I even feels even more underappreciated than what Canelo is.
Yeah,
but think about it. Canelo's more accomplished than Andre Ward when you think about it. Well, look at what he's done, and look at what he's done. 4-weight division world champion. He's about to become undisputed. Ward was never undisputed at 168. I know he was the best, but Canelo's about, like, if he beats Plant, which I know you think he will, Canelo's beat better fighters than Andre Ward. Let's be real. Like he's fought a lot of tough competition. You know that, Ray.
Yeah, but I was saying about 5-10 minutes ago, that's not Andre Ward's fault.
Oh yeah, it's not his fault, but you've got to factor that into it when we're talking about who's going to go down a greater fighter. Canelo will go down a greater fighter than Andre Ward. He's already achieved more.
Really.
The difference between Ward is that Ward fought everyone in his division. Canelo historically has been avoiding certain fighters from 154 to 160. And he's still avoiding those fighters. And until he fights those fighters, his career is incomplete, in my opinion.
But Christian, his career is not completed yet.
He didn't fight one in his division.
Go on, Mackay. What are you saying? Go on. What are you saying about Ward?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mackay?
Yeah, Ward.
Listen,
he didn't fight everyone in his
division. Who didn't he fight?
Well, he won the Super 6, didn't he?
Oh, I don't know what's going on with Mackay, but yeah. Sorry, what were you saying, guys?
He won the Super 6 tournament.
He did.
Real quick. Where did this narrative that Canelo has improved so much since Mayweather? He hasn't really fought a similar fighter to a Mayweather since then, except maybe Lara.
Thank you.
And he arguably lost that fight.
Yeah, but how long ago was the Lara fight, though? See, this is what I mean. You're bringing something up that was 7-8 years ago.
Lara fighting the same time? That don't make sense.
He's been fighting flat-footed European fighters ever since.
Oh,
stationary target.
You can tell in the ring that Canelo's learned a lot.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Not all the European fighters Canelo's fought have been flat-footed.
Not all of them, but most of them.
So that when you're talking about notions, and where these ideas.
Yeah, come on. I don't.
Where's that
just
from? That
the
European footed. Where's that come from? To answer talking about Canelo, you can tell Canelo's made improvement. You can't tell me the head movement Canelo's got now when he was the same head movement he had before.
Actually, it was. If you watch that Mosley,
no, it wasn't.
If you watch the Trout fight and the Mosley fight before he fought Mayweather, he was doing the very same head movements. He's always had that in his repertoire.
No, it was no way as near as sharp as that. His body punching was nowhere near as sharp as what it is now.
And his body, because it's gone much better, and the confidence. You can see in the ring he's much more composed. He's not panicky. You can tell that he knows he can change the fight.
But the fact is, for years since the Lara fight, he's been avoiding a particular style, and I'm talking about the American style of slickness. He's been avoiding it. Look at his resume after Lara. It's the same type of fighter. Guys who are there in the pocket, there to be hit. Guys who don't have a good control over range.
He's fighting Plant now because you rate Plant.
Yeah, finally until now.
But we find out really. What you mean
I'm getting tired of hearing this European.
What's this American style of stick?
In a stick Cuban fighter, or slip fighter from the UK, or slip fighter from Pakistan.
He's talking about that Cuban style, Floyd Mayweather, Puerto Rico style.
What's the difference? Because there seems to be, you know, a nationalist view. Slick boxers.
There is a difference between the way Lara fights and Mayweather fights. Lara is more defensive off his movement. Mayweather throws more combinations off his movement. Lara just basically mostly pot shots. He's much more defensive off the back foot.
That's between the boxers. You said American style.
The American style, like Pernell Whitaker, Floyd Weather, that type of slickness, where they'll make you miss and they'll pot shot combinations off the miss, off the movement.
Those are all-time
greats.
I know.
They're like some of the greatest fighters we've ever seen. Like
you're talking about American style, almost like.
Okay, I'll tell you fighters who have it right now. Jaron Ennis has that type of style. Shakur Stevenson has that type of style. Devin Haney has that style. Andrade has that style.
So the only person you're waiting for is Canelo to fight Andrade. Apart from that, you'd be convinced. So you'd be convinced if Canelo beats Andrade.
Listen, I'll bet the house that he doesn't.
I'll bet the house it does easy.
What he's saying is, if he does, so when he does beat Andrade, you'll give him his props then, or when he.
Yeah, I'll give him his props. Yeah, I will, but I know he won't beat him.
How about Caleb Plant? Do you think he'll beat Caleb Plant?
I'm picking Plant in this fight. But is it possible that Canelo can beat him? Yes, there is that possibility.
And you're saying there's no possibility that Canelo beats Andrade, though?
Nope. That I'm
That's ridiculous.
Sure Andrade beats him.
We're gonna have to see, because I really do think Canelo is gonna fight Andrade.
I understand what you're saying, because I do think Canelo would struggle with certain boxers, but I don't agree with this whole American style of boxing. And I don't know where this love of Andre comes from, you know, because I still think Andre, you put him in with Golovkin, even now, Golovkin hammers him.
That's exactly what I was saying, yeah.
No,
it does easy.
I say that, but for whatever reason, the fighter doesn't want to fight him.
Jab.
Just because he doesn't fight him doesn't mean he thinks he's going to get beat off him.
I think it does.
It doesn't. Let me tell you something quickly. You mentioned a guy called Joe Calzaghe about 15 minutes ago. Joe Calzaghe had up-team opportunities to fight Carl Froch, and he never did. So are you going to tell me, not Christian, you're the guy, are you going to tell me Calzaghe was afraid of Carl Froch?
No.
So what are you talking about then?
No, Canelo literally said in a press conference, "I'm not going to fight you because you're a terrible fighter." Translation: your style is not good for me.
So
and that's what Calzaghe said about Carl Froch. He said, "I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to give you a payday."
Well, okay, maybe that is how he felt at that time. Maybe he saw something that would give him trouble. Perhaps that is the case. So I'm not too.
He's going to be joking. How anyone that knows anything about boxing will know Calzaghe would easily beat Carl Froch. The only person that says otherwise is my good mate Carl, but that's because he's from Nottingham, where Carl Froch is from.
I never. Yeah, but I'm not trying to make a case that Carl Froch would beat Calzaghe.
But I suppose what I'm doing is using the same logic you're using for Andrade and Canelo.
But you also have to look at all Canelo's moves. Canelo ducked him at 154 when Andrade had his belt stripped and Liam Smith got the belt. Then he fought Liam Smith for the same belt. And we also forget that Andrade, when he had that belt, wanted Canelo to fight him for the belt.
Ray, answer this question. Who has Andrade fought?
It's a long history of ducking that just can't be ignored.
Who, me?
Yeah, who has Andrade? Because these are going on, like Canelo's ducking Andrade. I'm asking them, look, Canelo's for Golovkin, Billy Joe Saunders. Who has Kovalev even? Who has Andrade for even? That's what my point is.
Andrade hasn't got the big fights because everyone is ducking him.
He's that good that everyone's ducking him. That's what I don't agree with.
Even Carlo is ducking him. Carlo doesn't want no smoke with that man.
Canelo wouldn't duck anyone. Not right now. Impossible.
Okay, listen,
he fought Mayweather. Okay, you're saying Canelo would duck him. He fought Mayweather when more or less he knew he's going to lose Mayweather.
When he said he wanted to be undisputed after he beat Jacobs in May of 2019, he could have made the fight with Andre for undisputed, just like he's trying to make the fight with Plant, but he didn't.
I'm saying be patient. Maybe he'll beat Plant, and then most likely I reckon he'll fight Andrade next. And he'll beat him.
You know,
easy.
You know what's funny?
Then you're gonna turn around and say, that he waited too long and Andrade's gone old or something like that, because he'll definitely fight Andrade, I reckon.
Christian.
Yeah.
Christian. You know what's funny? you can make an argument that Canelo cherry picked Mayweather. He tried to fight a old Mayweather at 36 years old. He thought, no, let me finish. Let me
Canelo
finish.
cherry.
Let me finish. No, let me finish.
Argument
He thought
cherry
he
pick
thought he was getting a
Canelo.
Hilarious.
washed up Mayweather.
Come on,
He
come
thought he
on,
was getting an
bro.
older
Come on.
Mayweather, just like he fought an older Mosley and an older what's the name, Cotto. But
Rare breed. Mayweather
Mayweather's not
was
like,
the best pound for pound fighter in the world. What you talk? Rare breed was
yes,
the best pound for pound fighter in the world at the
yes,
time.
but he thought it was an older Mayweather, so he felt like it'd be an easier fight.
But
But
how
this
can cherry pick that fight when Mayweather's the one that calls the shots?
I
Mayweather,
know.
no,
no, but
Mayweather picked
Even
Canelo.
no one
he
could
also
even
fought
cherry pick
Triple G at
Mayweather.
36. Go ahead.
Mayweather calls the shots, not Canelo. Mayweather was the
Listen,
A side.
Floyd cherry picked Canelo. Floyd was fighting all those Mexicans because it's easy work. It's always been easy work for him. But notice that when he picked Canelo, he never said anything about Andre when he was active, because Floyd understands the schematics that Andretti's skill and his length will be a big problem for Floyd. Also, Floyd
That's
never called
true.
out Amir Khan. Amir Khan, believe it or not, yes, he's a glass jaw, but his length and hand speed would have been trouble for Floyd late in his career.
Maybe.
Floyd's main
But
thing was
also,
timing. He picked the fights at the right time. There's no way that
but
Canelo picked Floyd. That's impossible because Floyd could have turned that fight down easily, and no one would have said anything.
But he picked Canelo because it's easy work. He's flat-footed.
Yeah,
He can easily just exploit that. His slow
that's what I'm saying.
footwork.
Yeah,
also,
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Floyd picked Canelo 100%, but he's saying that Canelo cherry picked Floyd. That don't make sense. My point is,
I think she did.
No,
I
no,
think
no, 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 no,
he
no.
tried to catch.
Look,
I think he
Canelo
tried to.
didn't pick Floyd. Floyd picked Canelo.
No,
Whoa.
Canelo miscalculated because he thought that he was going to be able to, like, he was going to walk over Floyd like he did the Mosley. So he did miscalculate.
Yeah, but Christian, somebody offers you the Floyd Mayweather fight. How many fighters do you think would turn that down with that type of money? You always knew if
Of
you lost, you
course.
can come back again.
Of course. Yeah, you're right. It's the business side of it.
You know?
Mike, I want to bring you in, man. You've been hearing everything. Mike, you there?
Yeah.
Mike, you hear Christian's points that Floyd, or the guy saying that Canelo cherry picked Floyd. Floyd didn't fight Andre. He didn't fight Amir Khan. He decided to fight Canelo because for me, Floyd picked that fight. There's no way you can say Canelo cherry picked that fight because Canelo was not the A side. What was your thoughts on what was being said there?
Well, I mean, Canelo, I think at that time, which is what you would expect from any fighter, right? He's going to think or believe that he can beat Floyd.
Yeah.
So I don't look at it as a yeah. I guess you could say it's a miscalculation, but that's what a fighter's supposed to think, right? Like, hey, I think I could beat this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that Canelo cherry picked Floyd, I mean, come on, dude, that's beyond ridiculous, bro. Like, especially, when you consider the fact that it was a catch weight and the fact that Floyd is the A side. Floyd chooses who he wants to fight. Even if Canelo wanted to fight Floyd, it's not his decision. It's Floyd's decision. Floyd fights who he wants to fight, point blank, period. So that doesn't make any sense at all. But going back to the whole Andre thing, the Andre thing, man, is, I mean, we discussed that, like, I don't know how many times, me personally, just because we've talked about this like 100 times, it's gotten to the point where, yeah, like, I wish Canelo just fought Andre just because it's just kind of like to prove it to people. But I just don't think that we assume that Canelo thinks like us. Fans think that Canelo thinks like us, or that he thinks like Christian, right? Or that he thinks like Imran or Ray or whatever, right? I don't think Canelo sees Andre as that type of a threat. I think Canelo's biggest problem, and I think it's obvious that he stated this many, many times, is that he knows that Andre is specifically stalking Canelo without trying to prove something in his own career. Like, it's hard to just say, I'm going to give this guy a chance when you're almost 34 years old. Like, look, man, we talked about this many times. I don't want to hear the excuse about him getting ducked because Rigondeaux got to fight Donaire. Rigondeaux got to fight Casemiro. Rigondeaux got to fight Lomachenko. Lara got to fight Canelo Alvarez. Lara got to fight a lot of big names as well. How many years does Andre need? Right, Austin Trout. I mean, we could keep going. Vaughn is Martirosian. How many times, how many years does Andre need to get one? I'm not talking about Hall of Famer. I'm not even going that far. Just get a decent fucking name in your resume, man.
Exactly.
One decent name. Just one decent name.
And in my opinion, who did Rocky Slave House fight? Liam
Who did
Smith
what?
Fight. Avni Yildirim. All these bums who fought nobody got to fight with Canelo. And these guys these guys aren't better than Andre. They're not.
But that's his choice, bro. That is his choice. So that's
why that logic doesn't work.
It's not about logic. It's not about logic. It's because you're assuming that he's ducking him because of his style. Rocky Fielding was a 168 fight. He had never been in that weight class. So he went out there to test himself at 168. It wasn't about Rocky Fielding.
Fighter, there to be hit, perfect fit for Canelo.
Fine, okay, whatever, fine. If that's what you feel, that's great. But the point is an ongoing
pattern. It's an ongoing pattern.
No, it's that pattern doesn't make any sense when he's already fought Lara. He's fought better fighters.
That was almost 8 years ago.
Exactly. Okay.
I know. Okay. If I may,
let me pose this question
real quick. Hold on, real quick, Mike. I'm just gonna jump into this chat because, by the way, chaps, pleasure meeting you guys. I'm kind of thankful I got to join you guys once again. Just to kind of throw my 2 cents in. Mike, you make good sense. Christian, you have a lot of valid points, and so does Ray. The one major thing you guys are forgetting on everything else, though, Andre is under who? He's with Matchroom Boxing now. He's had plenty of chances also to have good fights with Triple G. He's had the opportunity. They could have made it happen with him and Canelo. They could have made it happen with a bunch of different people. As a matter of fact, before he went to Matchroom Boxing, if I remember, he was with All Star Promotions. He could have fought the Charlos because All Star Promotions works with PBC. So, but Charlo is a great fighter, man. I've seen him in the Olympic trials back in the day. I seen him fight. Look, I'm from Chicago, dude. I remember back in 2008, I went out to a casino called the Horseshoe in Indiana, and I got to see. I think it was not his pro debut. I think it was his third actual professional bout. The kid can bang, man. The only thing is, though, I just feel he's like that evil stepchild that nobody really cares for, and they're overseeing that he's a talented fighter. He can definitely throw down with the best of them. But for people to say that Canelo hasn't fought nobody, I'm like, I don't know if people are blind, but I've been following Canelo's career since he was still in Mexico, bro. And when he came over here, some fights were iffy, but the man learned from this Floyd Mayweather defeat, and I hate to say it, man, but he's destroyed every opponent outside of Triple G. The second time around, he redecorated his face, so I ain't gonna argue with that one. But Canelo is a hell of a fucking fighter, man. So is Andre. Again, they are under the same banner, which Matchroom Boxing. I just honestly feel politics sometimes gets in the way. And this isn't about throwing one person under the bus or throwing the other one. Excuses are excuses. They could make these fights happen. I just feel sometimes politics, and this go a long way. True or not?
But the reason why the fight's not getting done with Andre is because Canelo doesn't want the fight. If he wanted to fight, the fight would happen because Andre wants to fight. That's plain and obvious.
A lot of people wanted to fight Andre. Look, okay, here you go. How come PBC never made the offer to get the Charlos, who talk a lot more trash? And they're good fighters, man. Maul and Mel, great fighters. Why haven't they made anything to try to make it happen with Andre? They were once upon a time he was 154 and he was 160.
Carlo doesn't want to smoke. Jermall Charlo admitted there was a $7 million contract offer that was conveyed this year.
Mm-hmm.
I
remember.
said that's not enough.
No, that's not true,
said
Christian.
that's not enough.
But
Christian,
Christian, Mike made a point. Mike made a point, right? Can we see Andre in there with one world-class fighter? We're not talking about a guy that's a Julian Jackson that puts people's lights out. You know, that is a dangerous knockout artist. He's a boxer. You know, surely one world-class fighter he could get in the ring with. Just one. Like everyone, most fighters have been in the ring. Doesn't matter how dangerous they are. You look at all the great fighters, whether they're George Foreman, Julian Jackson, all the biggest bombers and biggest punchers, right? Everyone's got a downfall. Everyone's got somebody, a world-class fighter that they fought in their career. Andre's career right now, he's fought, Mike is right. He hasn't even, we're not talking about Hall of Famers. We're not talking about all-time greats. We're talking about a world-class fighter.
Liam Williams and Luke Keeler are the two people I can think off the top of my head who Andre's fought.
But guys,
are they world-class already?
No, here's another thing that people forget.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Canelo Alvarez.
That's what I'm saying.
Canelo Alvarez was actually trying to negotiate to fight Demetrius Andrade at one point. I don't know why people aren't bringing this up. Yes, it's a fact. Unless you're going to say, unless
I remember Golden Boy Promotions. They tried to put a contract together.
This was during this was during the time when Canelo got stripped by the for his IBF title.
And I know the sequence.
He got stripped for his IBI fight. So what they wanted.
When he got stripped, he asked for a late petition that he finally wants to make the unification fight with Andrade. The IBF said no because you didn't petition timely. So it begs the question, why didn't he petition when he had a 60-day window to do it? Because he wasn't interested in the fight.
So then why were they ask for it then?
He was also going through
because he didn't want to get stripped at the last minute.
Remember that?
No, he was already stripped. He was already stripped.
No, I got the sequence down.
At the time he was going through his
timeline on this.
No, this is back.
He petitioned around August 1st of 2019 for an exception to get out of the fight with Cinco so he can do a
because he was stripped
with Andrade. The IBS said you
because he was stripped.
The IBS
that's right, because he was stripped.
Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? The petition was legally too late under the IBF rules.
No, it wasn't allowed.
No, it was untimely. Because the IBF rules say that before the purse bid, if you want to unify to avoid a mandatory, you have to petition first before the purse bid goes out. Canelo did nothing for 60 days. So when the purse bid went out, it was already too late.
What do you mean? What the hell, this guy?
But guys,
read the IBF rules. I read the rules.
Yeah, but guys, I think you're also forgetting that when Andrade, he was supposed to fight Charlo at one point, but something happened. I forgot what it was, but he pulled out at the last second, and Shields and Charlo basically after that whole thing said that they'll never fight Andrade no matter what. They don't want to give him the payday, and then so he's stuck in a hard place right now.
And another thing
the
is,
situation with Jamal has nothing to do with Jamal, and so the excuses that Jamal's making.
No, it was Jamal. It was Big Charlo. It was Big Charlo, the one with Shields.
No, yeah, but what they're talking about is what happened with Jamal in 2013.
Oh, okay.
So they're using that. Well, what happened in 2013? That's the excuse that Jamal is now using not to fight Andrade. It's a ridiculous excuse.
You're the one that makes all the excuses, man.
I think Andrade will give
Charlo. Back up everything I'm saying.
Nah.
I mean, do you want me to pull up?
You're making no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your assumptions of what you believe Canelo thinks, and your lack of criticism of Andrade. You have excuses for days, bro, for Andrade. For days because he's being ducked. He's being ducked.
He is.
How many?
It's a fact.
No.
It's a fact.
Not a fact. It's your opinion. It's your opinion. It's your opinion.
Yo quiero los cuatro títulos. When he said that. So why did he?
Because he was stripped. He was stripped.
No, bro. He was stripped 3 months after the fact. Get your facts straight.
What do you mean? What do you mean after the fact?
He won the third belt in April 5th, 2019. He got stripped by the IBF in August. So what did he do for the next 60 days after he won the belt? He didn't petition the IBF to make the unification with Andrade. Why? Because he didn't want to make the fight.
No, because that's the assumption that I'm talking about. You're making that assumption.
I'm drawing an inference.
No, it's not a fact. No, you don't know the difference between fact and opinion, bro.
Bro,
you don't know the difference between fact and opinion.
I practice law. I know how to draw an inference from a fact. Do you?
No, you don't, bro. You don't. You don't.
Please. Oh, please. Okay, so explain to me, why didn't he make the fight? Explain to me what he did for 60 days.
What do you mean, why?
Why? He said he wanted to be undisputed. So why didn't he follow? So why didn't he make the fight?
He fought Kovalev.
I want the why Kovalev? The dude is washed up. He's not a champion in the division at 160.
So you think Andrade is better on his resume than Kovalev?
No, I didn't say that. Now, did I? We're talking about two different things.
Well, then there it is. No.
I'm talking about why I'm
there it is.
The case that Canelo ducked Andrade for undisputed.
Yes, you're making that assumption. That's your opinion.
It's not an assumption, guy. Why don't you pull up the press conference on YouTube after he beat Jacobs?
Look. The first thing you need.
He said, "Yo quiero los
cuadros." You're way too emotional, bro. You're way too emotional, bro. Like you got a massive crush on Andrade.
Is there a way we can
massive crush?
Oh, please, bro. Is there a way we can pull up the press conference on the live stream?
Guys. The thing is, okay, Christian, I agree with what you're saying. Okay, what you're saying in terms of, Canelo. Just say we agree with what you're saying, Canelo in Andrade, right? But forget Canelo a second. Andrade's had look. I said this before, and I'll say it again, right? I'll say this again to you, right? I've started watching boxing around 2006, 8. Ray knows that I got into boxing because of Amir Khan winning the silver medal. I started watching boxing around that time. Mm-hmm. Amir Khan won a world title in about 2007, 2008. Then in 2013, 14, Khan was at the peak of his powers. He was at the peak. Andrade at that time was a world champion. Amir Khan now, 7 years on, is finished. He's washed up. He's beaten a lot of good fighters. He's lost to certain good fighters. He's been in the ring, right? These guys were at the time around the same time. Khan was a little earlier. Khan has fought 15 former world champions and beat 11. In the same time frame, Andrade hasn't fought one world-class fighter. Come on, bro. Like, come on. How can you...
That's not true. When he fought Vadas Martirosyan, that guy was the boogeyman at 154 back in 2013. He was undefeated. He was undefeated at that time. He even fought Lara to a draw. Many said that he actually beat Lara. The first person to give him an L was Andrade. Then after he fought Andrade, he fought Jermell Charlo, who many people believe that he beat in that fight. So at that time, Martirosyan was a good fighter.
Okay. Okay, we take that one fight.
Who did he fight after that, Christian?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Ryan Rose.
He hasn't. Listen, I've already conceded the fact that his resume isn't stellar. Okay, but a lot of that is through no fault of his own, because Jermell Charlo doesn't want to fight with him. Golovkin doesn't want no smoke with him. None of the guys who hold the belt want smoke with him, including Canelo. So he's stuck fighting mandatories. Jaime Munguia, the WBO mandatory, doesn't even want to fight him for the belt.
Yep, that's true.
These are facts.
I mean, you guys are okay with him fighting Yodrum, who doesn't have a great resume either, but God forbid he fights.
I'm not okay with him fighting.
Never said that
out there. I'm not okay with Canelo.
Well, he keeps saying that. Who has Andrade fought? Who has Yodrum fought?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not. Listen, Ray.
Eddie Hearn for putting on some of these DAZN shows and Matchroom shows. We lost him from Sky in the UK on the promise he's going to put on big shows, and he's failing to do that. So don't sit here and say we're okay with Canelo and Yildirim. That's an absolute disaster. Who said we're okay with that?
But Ray, that's what Rare Breed is trying to say, is that we're okay with Canelo fighting Yildirim, but we're not okay with Canelo fighting Andrade. When have we ever said that? When have we ever said that we're not okay with Canelo fighting?
But Canelo's at least fought Golovkin
Never.
twice.
We've
Andre,
never said that. We've never
He
said that.
keeps
What we're
saying that
saying is
fought the
that
big.
he
Andre
keeps
can
saying that he needs
one world
Andrade to
class.
fight. No, but he kept saying that he needs Andrade to fight some world class opponent before he gets a chance with Canelo.
No. I said I want Andrade to fight, whether that's Canelo, whether that's anybody. I don't care. It doesn't have to be against Canelo. It can be against Billy Joe. It can be against even Chris Eubank for all I care. Like he's not fighting anybody, man. He's not like.
But it's not. But Imran,
Andrade is high risk, low reward.
Hey,
it's not his fault. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He wants to fight Golovkin. Golovkin doesn't want.
But who are we meant to blame then, Christian? When his career's all done and said, are we going to say that it wasn't his fault and he got in the ring with nobody?
Who's to blame? I think a lot of the blame is the politics, the sanctioning bodies, the promoters.
She blaming Eddie Hearn.
That's his promoter.
And the promoters as well. And the politics.
Blaming Eddie Hearn.
Because remember, Eddie Hearn this year conveyed a reasonable offer to PBC to make the fight between Andrade and Charlo. Charlo himself said that's not enough. They made all kinds of excuses. You got to get vaccinated. Well, he said the same thing about Benavidez. You know, then he said Andrew's got to fight Montiel. It's ridiculous.
Charlo's smart to avoid Benavidez. That style's all wrong for him. So I'm not even mad at it.
I don't think Benavidez is. Do you think Benavidez's style is all wrong for Charlo? I'm not sure. I
think so. Yeah, you saw because Montiel he's kind of long and lanky too, kind of like Benavidez. But Benavidez is even times two. So I think it's too much of a size difference.
I agree. It's a very hard fight for Charlo. It is.
Yeah, because he's at 160 fighting Benavidez. He's really fighting a 175 pounder. He's not fighting a 168 pounder.
Does Charlo beat Andrade, rare breed?
I think Andre will give him a lot of trouble. I think he could potentially outbox Jamal Charlo. So I'm telling you, the reason why these guys don't want to fight him, Andrade is high risk, low reward. He just has an awkward style. There's a reason guys don't really want to fight him. So you could say he hasn't fought anybody or all this stuff, but we've seen it a million times in boxing. Styles make fights, and Andrade just has an awkward style. So yeah, that's my opinion.
It's frustrating because I feel like Andrade's he's been around for so long. Like I said, I know Demetrius Andrade for over 10 years now. Like I know about Demetrius Andrade for over 10 years, and he's not securing anybody, Mike. He's not securing anybody is gonna. We don't even know whether Andrade, like right now, we don't know how great Andrade is. We don't know. We don't know. He may be great. He may be as good as Christian says. He may beat Beterbiev. Who knows? He may be that good. I'm not. But it's kind of all It's all kind of like speculative.
Do you notice that Canelo is really like thirsty to fight Beterbiev, the Russian? You don't think there's a reason why? I think he sees that this guy is flat-footed.
Of course,
it would be an easy fight for him. Canelo would beat Beterbiev. Yes, it really would.
But
you're not going to overpower Canelo.
That's
the only stop.
The biggest, physically strongest, and hardest puncher.
No, you're not going to overpower Canelo.
You think
That's
it's
not how
going to
you
be?
beat him. Right. You got to outbox him.
So Beterbiev's a really hard fight for Canelo. If anything, I'm Canelo's a big favorite of Canelo, yeah. But that's probably his hardest fight. That Beterbiev.
No,
of course it's
that's the easy fight for Canelo, in my opinion. There's a reason why
Andrade's the easy fight, man. No, not Beterbiev.
What about Bivol? What about Bivol?
Bivol beats.
Bivol's another hard fight.
Bivol's a hard fight.
Yeah, but he wanted to fight him too, right?
He did. Yeah,
and he's ducking Andrade apparently.
But Beterbiev, that's not as hard as you think it is.
I agree.
No,
it's not.
That's a hard fight, bro.
That's a dangerous fight, man.
Forget everything else. When it's all said and done, yeah.
That's a way harder fight than Andrew.
Canelo's fought Billy Joe, and now he's fighting Caleb Plant. Andrade hasn't fought nobody.
This is another thing I don't get. Canelo allegedly, according to some people, has got slow feet. So if he's got slow feet and he's up against a massive puncher, how's that going to be an easy fight?
If that's his best fight, then
because he'll fight him in the pocket. His upper torso movement is very good. And so he can slip a lot of those punches in the pocket. That's why.
Yep.
Yeah, but that wasn't working for him against Kovalev, was it?
No, it wasn't working from a distance when he was getting jabbed. Okay, but upper torso movement is effective not from afar. It's effective when you're in the pocket.
It is. But then when you're in the pocket, there's a greater chance of you getting hit. So
of
when
course,
Beterbiev
but he's
hits,
willing to take that
he's
risk.
stay hit.
Canelo is willing to assume that risk.
Plus, Canelo gets hit a lot, and against Beterbiev, that's so dangerous.
I wouldn't say he gets hit a lot, but he will get hit against Beterbiev.
Yeah,
he will get hit.
And Beterbiev is more of an inside fighter. He doesn't really have that kind of jab that's going to control range.
So Christian, you think Andrade's a tougher fight for Canelo than Beterbiev?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yep, stylistically, yes.
How about Bivol?
Stylistically, yes.
You don't seem to rate Bivol, do you, Christian?
Excuse me?
You don't think Bivol's a good fighter?
No. I think Bivol's a good fighter. I think Bivol is a more difficult fight than Beterbiev for Canelo.
Yeah. Yep. I can see why you would say that. Yeah.
I don't.
Bivol's a very good fighter. He's a very good boxer.
Ray,
very, very good.
He's too one-dimensional.
Who is
more difficult than
Beterbiev?
Oh, I thought you said Bivol. I was going to say it. I was.
No. Bivol can give Canelo two, but
it's like a bigger version of Golovkin.
Exactly.
But the
problem is that
Canelo so much trouble.
That's the reason why you could argue Beterbiev will beat Canelo.
I know.
Triple G's got more skill than that guy.
You're saying it's a bigger version of Golovkin. Golovkin gave Canelo all sorts.
Guys, have you seen Beterbiev's amateur record? I think you need to go get that up. The guy is a stellar amateur. He's had what 300 and something fights, and he only lost a few.
Listen, the style that gives Canelo trouble is the American style. That slickness.
It's not the American style.
Again, you're looking at the Mayweather fight and Lara fight ages ago.
Okay, where's Golovkin from? He ain't from America.
Yeah, what's the American style?
He's from Kazakhstan.
What's the American style?
The slickness type of style.
I'll say for Christian.
Yeah, but there's a lot of fighters that are slick from all over the world.
What he means is like
Cubans are like that too.
Yes, but it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. The Cuban style is
but they're still slick. They're slick.
Yes, but it's a different type of slickness.
I'll say it for Christian. Christian is saying he's trying to say African American style.
Bingo, you got it. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I see. No, I see what you're saying. Like African American, like Mike Tyson and George Foreman.
No, like Cornell Whitaker.
They're not African American. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Listen, not all African Americans emulate that style. Not all, but some. But I'm talking about the ones that do.
Like Errol Spence.
How many non-African Americans fight like Floyd and Pernell Whitaker?
Exactly, but they're African. That's my point. My point is that there's no such thing.
What style did Willie Pep have?
Who?
It's along those same lines. He was slick.
And what color was he?
I think he was white. Believe it or not, wasn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah. So Caleb Plant has that style.
Yep.
I mean, some white guys have it.
Yeah. I just think we're on dangerous grounds if we're saying. I know what you mean, like the slick boxers. I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I've just said Bivol beats Canelo, but Bivol's got some slickness in his style as well.
He does.
I think it's just your opinion of it.
Right. Yeah. There's no such thing. Dude. There's so many African American fighters that don't fight any. It's a mixed style.
My version of a slick fighter means somebody who can move his feet in and out his range, move his head off the line. Yeah. He can move out the pocket when he needs to, and be on his toes. Do you see what I mean? So, for me, that would define more slick fighters. I think you're looking at something else which fits into your opinion. That's got to be African American fighters.
No, you described the style that I'm talking about. You described it.
But Bivol fights like that?
Ray, don't you reckon Billy Joe's a slick fighter?
He has a good jab, but is he really slick like that? No, he's very straight up and down. Doesn't really use a lot of angles from what I've seen. I haven't seen a lot of his fights, but from the little that I've seen, I don't see him really using those angles.
So, Christian, is Lomachenko slick?
Yeah, I would say he's got very good. He's very sound technically. He is.
Fair enough. But you said Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney's very. I think that Devin Haney's got no power whatsoever. And I actually think he's to be honest, I actually think Devin Haney's not as slick as what people make out to be. To be honest, he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, but
he's also
most slick fighters don't really have power.
No, that's why they're slick in the first place. They have to be.
Exactly, because it's a style of boxing.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
It's different. There's different styles, and usually, if you're tall, you're rangy, or if you're slick, you stay on the outside because you're taller and you don't have the power, but you've got speed.
Yeah.
There's one guy who seems to have it all, though.
I would never see Stevenson's never going to be a puncher. Never.
No, Boots Ennis is the total package.
Boots Ennis.
Boots Ennis.
Yep, yeah, Boots Ennis.
Yeah.
He's a total
He's
package.
got it all, from what I'm saying.
But Christian, so far, when I've seen Boots Ennis is more a destroyer. He destroys you. He's more of an Errol Spence.
He chooses to be.
He destroys you. He's got movement, power in both hands. He's ambidextrous. That guy's a total package.
Yeah, I think Ennis is unbelievable. I really rate Ennis.
Yeah, to me, he's the best welterweight in the world. He beats everyone in that division right now.
Oof,
absolutely.
Everyone.
He beats Spence. He beats Crawford.
He's like Imran. He's like a bigger version of Crawford. He's a switch hitter too. More, and he's stronger. I can see him fighting at 160.
I like Ennis. I told you I'm a big fan, but to start saying that he beats Crawford, he beats Spence, it's a bit premature. It's a bit premature.
Bro.
You can't.
No, I eyeball test. I know what I see on tape.
Do you know what it is, Imran? I thought I would say this, but I agree with Christian and the other guy. I would have to say if I saw a fight between Boots Ennis and Crawford now, I'll be surprised if Crawford came off and won that fight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Being honest with you, yeah.
What do you think, Mike?
That's tough, bro, because Boots, he hasn't fought. He's still somewhat in a, developmental stage in a way. Exactly. Not really, but he hasn't fought anyone on that level. So does he have the skills based on the eye test that I've seen? Yeah, no, there's no question about it. But he has to get in there with some of these guys so that he could gain that experience and be seasoned. I think one of the advantages that he does have is that he's fucking huge. Yeah. He might be the biggest welterweight with Errol Spence. So just his size alone, I could see him beating a bunch of dudes at welterweight. So I wouldn't completely count him out. But to think that he's just going to go in there and completely dominate, or like a guy like Errol Spence or even a Crawford, I think we got to give him a chance to prove it, without criticizing him, because, obviously he's still coming up. But we got to give him a chance to kind of like prove it. You know what I'm saying?
He's got the speed. Well, his speed is ferocious, and he starts quick. When you watch him first, he can be at one end. He's at one end of the ring. As soon as the bell starts, he's on you. He takes the center of the ring. And he can box as well. It's not as if he just comes forward. He can take the center of the ring, he can put it on you, and he go on the back foot.
Yeah.
I really don't see too many.
You gotta see him get hit too.
He's like
He rides a shot really well. If you hit him, he rides a shot really well. He doesn't look flustered. You saw Virgil Ortiz in contrast. Virgil Ortiz got hit, and he took the shot. He took the shot well, but he looked hurt. Virgil
Ortiz is a dog.
Ennis just seems to just absorb punishment. He just seems to ride the shots. He just seems to take it in his stride.
But Ray, he hasn't. Let's be honest. He's not. His best opponent has been Sergey Lipnets. Was really past his best. Who's he? Ennis.
They're also not willing to fight him either.
Yeah, but Imran,
this is
Imran. I've got to give things the same energy. I was saying this about Andre Ward. Sometimes you just got to look at the fighter and think, although he hasn't fought someone in this instance, particularly when they're coming up, not when they're 2-weight world champions, but when they're coming up, and think he's still got the skills, he's still got the talent. And that's what I see in Boots Ennis. No, Imran, you know me better than everyone on here, that I don't say this very often, but I'm saying this for Boots Ennis.
I think, look, with Boots, I think
he ticks all the boxes.
Based on his size and his talent, I think, just to project a little bit, I think that his greatest challenges are going to come later on in his career when he moves up in weight. Because at the timing of like the fact that he's just coming into the scene right now, and we're seeing other welterweights kind of like at their later stage of their career,
older,
I feel that he's going to dominate the welterweight division. Danny Garcia, Porter, a lot of these guys are like on their way out, and if he fights some of these guys, who knows? Like even an Errol Spence, I could see him fighting Errol Spence at junior middleweight, not actually welterweight, but junior middleweight. That's where I think Boots is probably going to have his greatest challenges, even if he moves up to like middleweight. But right now at welterweight, just the timing of it all, the fact that he's there right now, and the opposition right there, you know, Crawford being 33, 34 as well, I don't see too many threats for him right then and there. And by the time he actually gets a chance or an opportunity to fight some of these guys, you know, who knows if they're even there and if they're even that good at that point. So I see him, you know, I want to see him later on in his career, because I think that's where he's going to have his biggest fights.
Mike, Ray just said that he believes that Ennis would beat Crawford right now. So are you telling me, do you think Ennis would beat Crawford right now? If they fought in the next 2 months, 3 months? Bearing in mind,
I mean, Ray, it's hard to argue with that, man, because like I said, you're talking about a guy who just going into the fight, he's got massive size advantages over Crawford, because Crawford's already maxing out at 147. That's it. He's not going to go to junior middleweight. Crawford's done at welterweight. Boots Ennis, that dude has got the size to probably end his career at least middleweight, possibly at least middleweight. I don't know if he's, you know, if he'll end up at super middleweight or something like that. I guess depending on who's there and what challenges are there, but.
Yeah,
you know, just his size alone, and the fact that he's got a good skill set, he might be able to make it more competitive than what people think. You know, because Crawford's not the biggest dude. So I could see Ray's point here.
I don't forget there's a saying in boxing: a good big guy always beats a good little guy.
Right.
I think that would be true with those two.
And here's another thing, right? We're still asking for Crawford to prove things to us at welterweight as well.
Exactly.
So he's got a lot to prove as well in that weight class. So,
and this is what I was saying to Imran before when we, you know,
all right, gentlemen, I gotta go. All right, it was good talking to you.
All right. See you later, Christian.
All right, peace. All right, bye.
See you later.
Yeah, man. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
This is the thing. Like Crawford, although he's a tremendous fighter. He's been a tremendous fighter. At welterweight, even though he stopped his last 7 opponents at welterweight, you could turn around and say who's he actually fought at welterweight, apart from Kavliauskas, the caliber of opponents he's fought. Amir Khan and Kell Brook being past the prime. Benavides came in with literally one leg. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So there's question marks around his opponents. I just think sometimes there's somebody who I call a once in a generation fighter, and I'm seeing the signs that Boots Ennis could be that once in a generation fighter. I'm seeing people say it could be Ryan Garcia and Virgil Ortiz. Question marks are out for Ryan Garcia. I don't think Ryan Garcia is a one in a generation type of fighter.
Ray, Carl said that. Remember when Carl said that Conor Benn would beat Ennis?
I think Carl was. If Carl was on here, I'd be saying it's coffee time for Carl.
Yeah.
There's no way. I'm telling you now. There's no way Conor Benn can't even beat eggs for an omelette. I'm telling you now. Conor Benn won't beat José Lopez.
That was a terrible performance, by the way. Ray. That was a poor performance. He was Ray. Before you give your points, Ray. There was times in that fight where I saw an amateur. I saw a guy throwing a left hook and his body spinning 360.
Yeah, I know.
A couple of times in that fight. Not once, couple of times.
Yeah.
That was I saw all I needed to see in that fight, Ray.
Yeah, and that's why I've never been high on Conor Benn, and that's why I think Eddie Hearn's got the hardest job in the world, because if now he has to put Conor Benn in with a top 15 opponent. Doesn't want to do that, so he's looking at people who are slightly washed up, like Kell Brook and Amir Khan and Adrian Broner, because he knows if he puts somebody in, even with someone like David Avinesian, who has got a fight lined up. He puts him with David Evanesian and he's getting beat. If he puts him in with Kabliauskas, he's getting beat. If he puts him in with Jose Tito Lopez, he's getting beat. If he puts him with Benavidez, when Benavidez has got one leg or two legs, he's getting beat. So Conor Benn, you know,
Ray, I would even go as far as saying I wouldn't even be confident that he beats Khan, Brook, or Broner. He may beat Broner because Broners don't throw any punches.
He'll beat Broner,
but
and I think
Khan and Brook, I don't know. I don't know. Like before the fight, before the when he fought Vargas, I was saying, yeah, Benn would beat Khan. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that I think you know he looked sensational against Vargas. But after that fight, if Khan comes in any kind of shape of even 50%, Carl said something to me on the stream. He said even if Khan's 50%, he beats Conor Benn. I agree. On that performance, if Khan is 50% or he's in any kind of shape and he takes it seriously, if he's not shot to bits where his legs and arms are falling apart like David Haye, then I don't think that's an easy fight for Conor Benn, Ray.
I just worry that Amir Khan and Kell Brook are shot to bits though. Because
yeah, I know you think that. I know you were saying that. If that's what I'm saying. If they are shot. See, here's the thing. The only way Conor Benn wins that fight against either of those guys, if they're completely shot to bits, Ray. Completely shot to bits. Because after that performance, I'm not a big fan of Conor Benn's boxing.
What do you guys think of him versus Staniotis? The Lithuanian, I think it's Lithuanian. I think it's Lithuanian.
Yeah. Stanios, he beats him as well.
Yeah, he would be Conor Benn. He would be Conor Benn. You know,
I like Stanios.
Yeah. It's just a shame. It's just a shame with the situation with Josh Kelly, because if Josh Kelly could do 147,
Kelly beats him well. If Kelly has
this is the example of when people are having a go, and I'm not having a go at Christian when he's saying he blames Eddie Hearn. Look what Eddie Hearn's done for Conor Benn, though.
Yeah.
So Eddie Hearn will give you the right fights. You just can't always blame the promoter, because Eddie Hearn's, he deserves a knighthood for what he's doing for Conor Benn. He's selling everyone the idea that Conor Benn's going to be the next pay-per-view star in England and that he's going to win a world title. You can mark my words in, man. Conor Benn, and for the rest of you, Conor Benn's never going to win a world title, especially not in the welterweight division.
You know what Andy said that,
and I'm on about the four major bodies. I don't on about the IBO, UBO, UBF, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Ray. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, but I don't know. That whole Andre talk is crazy, man. Andre is beyond popular, bro.
Oh God,
super famous. I never imagined that a guy like Andre would get this much attention, man. That's crazy.
But real quick, who do you guys think is the best out of the lightweight division, as far as like the so-called four kings, Teofimo, Ryan, Devin, and Tank Davis?
Well, that's a tough one. It's between Teofimo and Haney, I think. Because obviously Haney, he's always in that awkward style for everyone. And you got Lopez. It's between those two. I can't really pick. It's just with that division, like it's just the styles really. Like it's just like Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia. He's capable of being Tank. He's a lot bigger than Tank, isn't he?
Yeah,
but I don't see him beating someone like Haney. Let's just say it's a bit like that. But then Davies could beat Haney. Obviously, this is not actually what I think, but that's just what I'm trying to say. Like, it's just a bit like that.
Let's be real. Let's be honest. He's blatantly ducking Devin Haney.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was mandatory for Haney's belt. Yeah, twice. He could have fought him, and then he fought. Yeah, but then he said no. I want the legacy fights. I want to fight Pacquiao or Tank. He didn't get those fights, so then he fights for Tuna, and the winner of that fights Haney. That makes no sense. Why couldn't he have just fought Haney in the first place? And then he fought for Tuna. Like that makes no sense.
And then he pulled out of that.
I don't like Ryan Garcia anyway. I think he's a clown.
Yeah, I think those fights are inevitable, though, bro. I think that's just what it is. They're gonna build it up. I don't think. I believe that. I don't think Oscar. They're not gonna say it, but I think Oscar's not 100% confident in Ryan yet. I think he feels like he needs more work. But I think those fights are inevitable because they're all around the same size. All these guys, whether it's Tank, whether it's Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, all these dudes are around the same size. So whether it's in this weight class, whether it's in junior welterweight or welterweight, I think they're all going to fight each other eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can. But I mean, can Lopez even fight at lightweight now? I mean, the guy's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like he was. I mean, that could have been a reason why the Kambosos fight fell through.
Yeah.
I mean, Lopez probably didn't actually even get COVID. He's probably just struggling to make weight, like, badly.
Right.
He's a big guy.
And honestly, man, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Just as a fan of boxing, like without even taking sides, I wouldn't mind actually seeing these fights later on when they're all dead in their prime. You know what I'm saying? Because I just think it's better. So like I get people are gonna throw the duck word around. You know, it's a word that's fucking thrown around all the time. It's kind of like robbery or, you know, this guy's ducking this or cherry picking. Everybody throws those words around. But in order for it to be like a legit duck, you know, you either never fight someone ever, you know, or a fight that's supposed to happen, or the fight is like made like way like beyond the expiration date or something like that, right? So you know, as of right now, I guess you could say they could fight each other, but I'd rather see it, you know, 2 years, 3 years down the line, maybe at welterweight, a big mega fight. All these dudes fight each other, maybe, you know, because I don't think even Teofimo, who's a bigger dude right now, I don't see Teofimo going any much higher than welterweight. You know, he might max out at junior middleweight, who knows? But I think all of these guys, whether it's Haney, Ryan Garcia, you know, Tank is going to be somewhere around there because I know Tank is a little dude, but he's a stocky dude, but he's a little dude. All these guys are going to be around welterweight, junior welterweight. So it's gonna be inevitable, you know. And then if they don't fight each other, then it's going to be a clear duck, you know, because there's going to be nowhere to go. So so I expect all these fights to happen, but they're going to be mega fights by the time they happen.
Oh yeah, the fights are just going to get bigger and bigger if they don't happen now. But obviously, I understand what you mean. I would prefer to see them fight each other when they're both in their prime. But I mean, you've got Lopez, he's got the IBFWA, etc., and then Haney's got the WBC belt, obviously. So it's like they have to fight each other, really, don't they? They're both like Lopez. He's the #1 ranked. Obviously, we got Garcia in there as well. They're all top fighters, so I can get what you mean, but they kind of have to fight each other because the division is not really going to work any other way.
I'm kind of disappointed. Teofimo doesn't want a rematch with Loma, but he says that Loma wasn't going to give him the rematch, so why should I give him a rematch? So I mean, I can see that.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I mean, I hear that they're rematching, but I mean, I don't trust it. I mean, Lopez, I don't even think he can make the weight, and if he can, he will be like he won't look good on fight night.
No,
he won't look good.
It's one thing making the weight; it's another thing performing at the weight.
Yeah.
I respect Loma.
Hey, well, I'll catch you guys next time, man. So I gotta bounce out. I gotta go to work. I just wanted to jump in and give Christian a borderline heart attack, man. That's it, you know.
I was trying
come back next time.
Christian, that exchange between you and Christian was the best I've seen. It was like verbal tennis. It was
man, honestly, man, that was light work, man. Like I didn't even really go all in, bro, because I had to leave and shit, you know. But I was gonna bring some other stuff, but maybe next time we'll see.
Did you mention that Canelo already tried fighting him? Did you mention that?
You mentioned everything, man.
But he had an excuse for that.
The amount of times I've told him that Canelo tried fighting Andrade, and he still says that Canelo stuck. The amount of times I've told him it, he just never listens.
No, I was gonna bring up the fact that he said that Canelo was basic and Vanes Martirosyan was a beast.
Oh,
you know, I wanted him to explain that to me because I was like, "What? Like, what the hell? Like, what's your criteria, man?" You know, but it's all good.
And then when you said you've got a man crush on Andre, I was on the floor laughing.
Nah, but Christian, you know, shout out to Christian if he's listening. You know, he's a cool dude. He's just with all due respect, I have to call it out, man. But I think it's pretty obvious that he's a massive Canelo hater, bro. massive
Yeah.
Canelo hater.
I mean,
he's
So
basic. Yeah.
he articulates his
massive Canelo
arguments
hater.
well. He articulates his, I mean, there's no hate. You know what I mean? If you come on again, you know, you gotta respect him. He just, I disagree with some of the stuff he says, but you gotta respect his opinion.
He gets too emotional, too loud. I thought I was arguing with Stephen A. Smith for a while, bro. I was like, wait a minute, hold on, what? Like,
But he's a barrister, Iranian. I know my own barrister. He's a bit like that as well. You know, and that's his personality. You know, he's obviously a fiery. I think he must be from New York. Am I right?
I'm not sure, dog. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he
sounds
is.
Like in New York. I could be.
He sounds like it.
But he's definitely got Canelo on a microscope, bro. So he kind of studies his every little movement. So I get what you mean, like, you know. So he knows like where to pick his spots and where to get specific here and there. But a lot of it is based on his, like I said, opinions or assumptions, and he calls them facts. So that's what I don't agree with, because you know, it's like he thinks that he's in Canelo's mind, or he knows what Canelo's thinking or how Canelo feels. So I don't necessarily agree with that. You know,
I think he just likes American boxers. He's not a fan of European fighters. Like I don't think I've seen him like give credit to any European fighter. I think he's like one of those kind of boxing.
Credit,
right?
If you find the boxer and you put it on him, he'll give them credit. So when you tell him about Lomachenko, he'll give Lomachenko credit, but it's very rare. But
very rare, yeah.
Opinion. It's not the only one like that. You know, I like.
Yeah, there's loads. There's loads of people like that. Yeah,
that only like come forward fighters, and if people that box are runners, don't want to engage. They don't see it as a skill. They only like people like Arturo Regatti, Ricky Hatton. Those type of fighters. They don't like people that box on the back foot. So I know people that are the opposite of Christian. You know what I mean? That's why I don't. Even though I come across a bit harsh on him, I respect him because that's his view. Where there's some people that I know that are even related to me, and they've got the opposite view. They only like come forward fighters. But that's boxing. It's subjective, isn't it? That's why all of us are. We've all got our views, and that's why it's fascinating when. You know, when I see Mike's on or Mackay's on or Christian's on or, you know, whoever's on, you want to jump on because, you know, it's going to be an interesting debate when Steven's on as well. So, you know, it's just...
you know, I think he likes, like you nailed it. Like he likes a specific style.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the fact that he says an American style, because that's not true. That style is adopted by a lot of guys, Cubans, you know, even though they're a little bit different, it's still... in that same group. Yeah, it's still in that same group. And we already know that there's a bunch of African-American fighters who don't have that style at all.
I mean, look at Sean Porter.
Right, Sean Porter. I mean, we could name a bunch of legends, bro. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, they didn't really have that slick super style. Marvin Hagler, Mike Tyson, you know, George Foreman, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we could make a list. Even Sugar Ray Robinson wasn't a slick fighter. He was a boxer puncher, but he wasn't a slick fighter, you know. So he has a particular style that he likes, and I think he gives that style the benefit of the doubt. That style beats every other style, which is, in my opinion, is all wrong, because you could have,
because it's a bit like rock, paper, scissors. You know that game you played when you were a kid, you know. So you might get boxers that beat a certain style, but there's always a certain style that beat boxers.
Yeah.
Right.
Cut off the ring.
Right. It's the quality of the fighter, man, and the whole package is what makes him great. It's not necessarily a style. It's what makes him great, you know, all together, right? Because you could bring up guys like Pernell Whitaker. It wasn't just the fact that he was slick. It was that he was very intelligent. He was slick. He could go to the body. He had a great jab. It's not just, he's slick and that's it. You know, it's a combination of things that makes a great fighter. So you could be super slick and not have any power, or not have a good chin, or not have much speed, but you could be very, very slick. That's not going to make you great, though.
Yeah.
So it's not just a style; it's a combination of attributes that make a fighter. You know.
I mean, look at Saunders. He's slick, but we saw him have problems in certain areas with Canelo. I mean,
or Erislandy Lara.
Yeah, exactly.
Lara is a guy who's super slick, very super athletic, probably one of the most athletic guys in terms of his footwork. But he's lost a lot of fights, though, you know, or he's had fights where he didn't necessarily look great, or you know stuff like that. So it's a lot of things that go on.
I mean, we just haven't got to see it with guys like Andre, because you know he hasn't actually
right.
like fought anyone that great.
But even the eye test, guys, come on, dude. Like we have to keep it real too. The eye test should tell us too, at least a little bit, that he's not that great of a slick fighter either, man. Like, come on, dude. Like, he's not that great.
Christian. This is what
but Christian thinks he's a second coming of Pernell Whitaker. Like, come on, dude. Like,
because if you look at Andre, he can't even do 12 rounds at this weight.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the stamina to do. Andre drops off, his work rate drops off dramatically from round 8 onwards, and his feet completely slow down. So because he's always on his, when you're always on the back foot and you're always always on your toes, you're always moving, it tires out your legs, it's draining. And for Andre, you saw it against Liam Williams, and even in other fights, round 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, he slows down a lot. And I just worry for him that if you put him in with somebody like Golovkin or Canelo, who are experts at cutting off the ring, you know, they'll
and
to him because
one last thing, bro, just before I leave, because I gotta leave. Another thing that I hate, and this I really, really, really hate, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys agree with this, is that when they do see a fighter, like let's say like Triple G, who isn't, let's say, a slick fighter, they assume that they're not skilled. That's just way wrong. That is just way wrong. If you can't see that Triple G is a very, very skilled pressure fighter, then all I gotta say is, to quote Roger Mayweather, you don't know shit about boxing.
Yeah.
So peace out, guys.
That's
I'll catch you guys later.
See you later.
Ray, I wanted you to carry on about the Conor Benn stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because my phone went off. So I was just saying, for me, Conor Benn's been made to look spectacular, and he's fighting opponents, but now he's running out of those opponents. Granados was the last opponent for him to look spectacular. Now the British public aren't going to be fooled. He's going to have to fight somebody that's going to have to be in the top 15, and everyone in the top 15 beats him. So Eddie Hearn's got a difficult job. He's got a real challenge on his hand. How do you match Conor Benn?
What do you think he needs to do? What do you think?
I think you need to put him in with the Wolves. I'm sick of hearing, like what Andy says on my channel, that he's ready. He needs 4 or 5 more fights, and you put him in with a world title because he's only had a dozen amateur fights. Enough of that already. He's been a pro for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
Even longer. He put him in there. You see how David Abinisian gets on in his next fight against Liam Taylor.
You better be careful, puppies. Better be careful.
Put him in. Put him in with Conor Benn. Put him in with Conor Benn. It's a great fight. He shouldn't be going in with somebody like Florian Marcoux. He should be going in with some of these guys, and then going in with somebody like Sean Porter.
Do you know what would be a really good test for him?
Sorry?
Do you know what would be a really good test for him? Do I think he wins this fight? No, absolutely not. But it'll be Kavaliauskas. He seems to be a fighter that, is like I wouldn't say gatekeeper, but he's a guy that'll give you a good fight.
I see. I would call him a gatekeeper in the sense that you've got to beat him to get to where you want to be in terms of a world title.
Yeah.
Your Granados is where you need to be stopping him if you think you're going to be winning a world title. I know Danny Garcia is the only one that stopped him, but all the hype around Conor Benn would lead and suggest that he would stop Granados, and he just didn't look like doing it at all.
His power is very overrated.
It is, but his technique is awful, and a lot of your power comes from technique. If he hasn't got good technique, I don't mind punches that are unorthodox, like Prince Nassim, but Conor Benn's unorthodox because he doesn't have the technique and all that good work. And I came on here and I said Conor Benn was one of the most, even though I don't rate him that much, he's one of the most improved fighters, but he regressed. He didn't use his jab. His footwork was terrible. His head movement was awful. He was predictable. He telegraphed these punches. You knew they were coming. I knew which punches he was going to throw before he did. He wasn't good at all.
And there's also this. Since when has Granados ever been known as a slick fighter? And he was literally slipping a lot of Benn's punches with ease. Like, it was so easy for him. Like, he's never been known to do that.
I said that as well.
Yeah, he could see Benn's punches coming from a mile away. When he slipped it, he even looked at the crowd. Like, obviously, done that little muggy thing that Saunders done.
Yeah, he did.
He done it a lot of times to Benn, man.
This is the thing, Mackay. I mean, Conor Benn he's not slow in terms of putting his punches together. He's got a little bit of speed, but that just tells you how bad his technique is. For somebody like, because if this was football, we would be saying Granados was doing all-A football. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
He was shooting in there. Like it was a bit like Burnley passing the ball to each other, and all the Burnley fans going all A every time the ball's being passed. You would never see that in a million years, and that's what Granados was doing. Granados was taking a mick out of Conor Benn.
He was.
He was missing wildly, Conor Benn, and I just thought, you're lucky it's Granados in there. Anybody else, and you're getting knocked out basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, Ray, I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up getting beat by somebody that's not even a top 15 guy. From what we saw, like, guys less than that. Like I said, you could make a case that Broner, Khan, and Brook aren't even top 15. They're not top 15.
No, so, they're not.
And Ray, you wouldn't put your house on him beating. Okay, I think he beats Broner because he doesn't throw enough punches.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be confident he beats Conor Brook. No chance.
I think Khan beats him.
I won't put my house on it.
Yeah, I think Khan beats him. Definitely.
I don't. You know what it is, Ray? You know what it is? The thing is, right, when you've got a fighter, and I told you on air that I think he's a more polished version of O'Hara Davis. Ray, you know what? If you watch O'Hara Davis, the way O'Hara Davis plods forward, and you look at the way that Conor Benn plods forward, you look at the way that they both throw their right hand in that winging manner, right? And then when you see what when O'Hara Davis fought Josh Taylor was a very fundamentally sound fighter. A lot of people thought O'Hara Davis would beat Josh Taylor prior to that fight. O'Hara Davis was the favorite going into that fight. You look how fundamentally sound Josh Taylor is. Any fundamentally sound fighter against Conor Benn, right? Any fundamentally sound fighter is going to make him miss, and then he's going to flatten him. I probably think.
Yeah, that was good.
Make him miss, make him pay. When we all been in a boxing ring, that's what you get taught. Make your opponent miss, make them pay, and someone's going to do that to Conor Benn. I just think, and it's not even a case where he needs to move trainer or whatever. He just needs to learn the basics of boxing. He needs to learn the jab's the most important. It's your offense and your defense.
Ray, you know what I seen from you, Ray? I seen that prior. I feel like after the fight that your opinion about Conor Benn has changed in the sense that you actually think now that he's actually worse off than what you thought previously. Am I right? Because before, when I heard you speak about him fighting Khan, you were very confident he beats Khan, whereas now you're kind of like, I don't know, but that performance was terrible.
No, I still think he would probably beat Khan because, like I said to you moments ago, I don't think Amir Khan's got anything left.
Yeah.
And I think that's why. If you listen to what Eddie Hearn said at the interview, Eddie Hearn said he would break the bank, or words to that effect, to make the Khan fight happen.
Yeah, he did.
Because he's so confident that Amir Khan and Kell Brook haven't got anything left. From my opinion of watching boxing, right? I look at Amir Khan and I've followed a lot of his career in his amateur career, and I don't see the same. It's a bit like what I'm starting to see with Katie Taylor. I don't see the same strengths. Katie Taylor, the female, I don't see their best attributes being the same anymore. They're not, it's just not there. And I'm seeing that with Amir Khan, and I've seen that with Kell Brook. So I think he beats them on the basis that they're shot. If they had what you're saying, if they were at 70%, no way would Conor Benn beat them. So I'm not saying he's worse than what I thought. What I'm saying is that originally stands. The Vargas win has made him look spectacular, and he's papered over a lot of cracks. I was always very, very, and Andy will tell you this because I asked Andy a question: does he think Conor Benn wins the world title in 2 years? And I said to him no, and he told me yes. And it's gone down to 80 months now because I asked him back in February or March, and I still don't think he does.
Mm.
Who can he beat?
Who can he beat? The hype around him's working though. I'm seeing a lot of people think he can beat guys like Ennis and Ortiz. Like, that's ridiculous. But I mean, it's working. I'm seeing a lot. See, like Hearn, he's really good at promoting guys, convincing fans that these fighters, they're the real deal. Like, he hypes up their opponent and everything. He's really good at doing that.
Yeah.
And it's working.
Yeah.
Ray,
Ray,
do you think Katie Taylor is shot?
Not shot. I just think she's on what I would call it. She's declining. She's declining. She's getting worse. She's not shot. Amir Khan's shot to the point where a shot fighter for me is,
David Haye
just get stopped by somebody who 5 years ago wouldn't even lace up their boots. Pretty much like Roy Jones Jr. was in his last 10 or whatever fights. They've got nothing left. Amir Khan's not got his speed left. He's not got his footwork left. So he's got no attributes left. Katie Taylor was throwing single shots against Jennifer Han, and she looked all right doing that. But Katie Taylor wouldn't be doing that 3 or even 2 years ago. She'd be throwing flurries and punches. She'd be going in 3s and 4s and 4s and 5s and then back on the outside again. She can't sustain that pace. If you look at that fight against Jennifer Han, she was throwing the 3s and 4s in rounds 1, round 2, round 3. But later on in the fight, she couldn't sustain it, so she resorted to single shots.
Yeah.
So Ray, if Katie Taylor fights Amanda Serrano at a catch weight, I don't know, 133, 132.
Yeah.
I think Katie Taylor still wins that fight.
No.
What do you think?
I worry about her because I know she's got the size advantage, but Serrano has too much volume for her.
Yeah.
She's too athletic for her. You got to remember, this is the same Katie Taylor that done a job on Jessica McCaskill. I know Jessica McCaskill was there on Leeds on Saturday, but I think if they were to rematch, I would have to favour Jessica McCaskill. I just think Katie Taylor now against anyone who's got look, the Natasha Jonas fight was a close fight. I know you didn't think so, little Penny, but I had Katie Taylor winning that by 2 rounds.
Yeah, same here.
But if you go back 3 or 4 years ago, and we said it to Natasha Jonas when we had her on our channel, I thought that Katie Taylor would have beaten Jonas more convincingly. But I just think Katie she's getting old. She's had a lot of hard camps back to back. She had an extensive amateur career. She's been a wonderful servant of the sport. She's done women's boxing is where it is because of Katie Taylor. A little bit of Clarissa Shields, but the vast majority of it's Katie Taylor. So she deserves all the credit in the world. But instead of father time catching up with her, mother time's catching up with her. And you can't beat mother time.
All right,
haven't you noticed the interviews of her? She sounds punch drunk.
She always sounds like that.
Or does she always sound like that?
I would give a little Penny.
Okay, my bad. She sounds really punch drunk, man.
Laura Warrington, guys.
Sorry,
finish your point.
I was just going to say she's very quiet. She's softly spoken. I just think that's in her nature. I don't think she's punch drunk. I just think she's a bit. People were saying this about Lomachenko a couple of years ago, and it's slightly different with him. But I think what Katie Taylor is, she's a very active fighter, which is great to see. But she's fighting the very best all the time, and it takes a lot out of you. She's in hard camps all the time. She doesn't have sort of like, she doesn't really have a break. She's never had a break since the first Olympics she was in. And I just think it's taken a toll on her body. And I just think Mother Time's caught up with her, and there's no shame in that. I just put it this way: if you put her in with Delphine Pursoon again, I think Pursoon would stop her.
Really? I thought Delphine won the last fight.
Yeah, I thought Delphine won the fights anyway, Ray.
But she didn't look like
the second fight.
I thought she won the second one, man.
Yeah, same, man.
Katie Taylor won the second one. She lost the first one.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Never looked like getting stopped. I just think like Pursoon's that type of fighter that is the kryptonite to Katie Taylor style. She puts on a lot of pressure. She's very physically strong, but she's very accurate with her pressure. You know, she's got educated pressure, as I call it. And Katie Taylor doesn't like that style because it stops her working. And if Katie Taylor's throwing less punches now and throwing single shots, and Pursoon's throwing lots of shots and lots of shots that are landing, the judges are going to favour Pursoon. And I just think that she'll get Taylor and wear her down, and I think she could stop her late.
Ray, I wanted to get your opinion on Warrington Lara, or everyone's opinion on her.
Well, for me, you know, I know people don't agree with what I'm saying, but Lara was getting to Warrington in that fight.
Oh yeah, Lara, mate.
Lara would have stopped him.
Yeah, even when Josh was blocking the punches, I mean, they still really affected him. You literally, I mean, I remember Lara throwing a hook. Yeah, Josh blocked it, and Josh went flying. Like Josh fully went flying.
I know.
Like Lara was gonna knock him out. I mean, I don't even care about the trilogy, to be honest. I want to see
it's a
Lara
blessing
fight and
in disguise,
Navarrete.
Headbutt was a blessing in disguise.
Well, yeah, they were so intentional.
People are blaming Lara, but how do we know that Josh Warrington didn't stick it on Lara deliberately? You know?
I know. They're saying Lara was looking for a way out, Ray. Disgraceful.
Yeah, I mean, I was really annoyed when I saw Josh Warrington's dad make that gesture. He was going like that, question his heart. That was a disgrace because for me, Josh Warrington couldn't knock out Lara. He couldn't push him back. He could throw a lot of punches, but when you throw punches, you automatically, it's a bit like chess boxing. If you make a move, you're susceptible for a move back. If you throw punches against a puncher like Lara, you're leaving yourself open for a counter to be countered. And Lara's heavy-handed. Heavy-handed, and I think Lara would have got to him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Lara was going to get to him in middle rounds, in my opinion. I mean, I was always picking Lara anyway, but Josh, he just looked scared, man, when he was in the ring with him. He just looked scared. He didn't fight how he usually fought. Like, he was trying to just, like, beat him with a jab, but it wasn't working. Like, Lara was always going to get to him. I agree, Ray. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Guys, Ray, I know you've got to probably shoot off and stuff.
Yeah.
I've got to shoot off as well. I want to thank everyone. Thank Ray. Cheers for coming on.
Anytime.
Cheers for coming on, man. Ray, give your thing a plug in it. Your channel.
Yeah. So I'm we're on Last Bell Boxing chat. You can see us on YouTube. We do have our live streams that are on every Thursday night, 9 o'clock. We've been interviewing a lot of guests. We've had Roberto Diaz, Natasha Jonas, Ebony Bridges. We've had somebody from Top Rank on the show. We've had a few promoters on. We've had Lee Wood. We're getting some other guests on coming on as well.
Ray, you know your chats on Thursdays. Sometimes you guys don't put that on your videos, because when I watch it, like when I wake up on Friday here in New Zealand, they're not on it. So I was wondering, can you put it on your videos list?
Yeah, I will. I'll have a chat with Carl and make sure that's on, because I think you left a comment, didn't you, a couple of weeks ago about that?
Yeah.
So yeah. We'll sort that out. But So guys, give us a search, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and watch some of our interviews, and come along and join us on a Thursday night, 9 o'clock UK time. Jump in. We have a bit of a live stream like this. We talk about some topics. Imran's been on. Lil Penny, I know you've been on. Mackay, get yourself on.
Absolutely. I'll check it out, mate.
We have good debates. So see us, like and comment and subscribe, and it's Last Bell Boxing Chat.
Yeah, leave it in the maybe leave it in the chat, Ray. Leave it in the
I
chat.
will do. Yeah.
Also, maybe comment in the in the video. Just leave a comment or something with your name.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that now. I'll drop a little comment in the live chat.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, man, Little Penny, Mackay, Adam, everyone in the chat. I appreciate everyone coming on. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Little Penny, Mackay, Ray, Mike, everyone that came on today, everyone in the chat. Appreciate it, guys. Take care and see you soon.
Bye.
Cheers,
See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.